The Sinclair family, seeking respite from the chaos of city life, embarked on a seemingly idyllic vacation to a remote cabin nestled deep within the woods. The air was thick with the scent of pine, and the serene landscape promised a haven of tranquility. Little did they know, the shadows that lurked beneath the towering trees harbored a malevolence that would shatter their peaceful retreat. The cabin, aged and secluded, exuded an eerie charm. On the first night, as the family gathered around the crackling fireplace, strange sounds reverberated through the stillness of the forest. Unnerving whispers danced on the edge of perception, and the distant howls of unseen creatures sent shivers down their spines. Dismissing it as the nocturnal symphony of the wilderness, the Sinclairs retired to their rooms. As the night wore on, a creeping unease settled over the cabin. Creaks echoed through the corridors, and dim shadows flickered in the corners of their peripheral vision. An ancient curse, long forgotten by the locals, had awoken with the arrival of the unsuspecting family, and it hungered for their souls. The next morning, the Sinclairs discovered peculiar symbols etched into the cabin's walls. Unsettled but determined to salvage their vacation, they ventured into the nearby village seeking answers. The locals, eyes filled with silent warnings, spoke in hushed tones about an ancient curse that befell those who disturbed the slumber of the woods. The Sinclairs, now entangled in a web of supernatural forces, returned to the cabin. The atmosphere grew increasingly oppressive, and an otherworldly presence seemed to weigh upon their every breath. That night, the family was thrust into a nightmarish reality as the curse manifested its wrath. As the second night descended upon the Sinclair family, the cabin became a battleground between the living and the vengeful spirits that lurked in the shadows. Whispers grew into anguished cries, and the symbols on the walls pulsed with an eerie energy. The youngest member, Emily, awoke to a chilling presence at the foot of her bed. A ghostly figure, cloaked in shadows, beckoned her to follow. Mesmerized and helpless against the spectral force, Emily tiptoed through the darkened corridors, where the walls seemed to close in on her with each step. The cabin itself seemed to breathe with a malevolence that echoed the ancient curse. The rest of the family, roused by Emily's disappearance, frantically searched the cabin. The symbols on the walls now glowed ominously, casting an eerie light that danced across their terrified faces. The whispers intensified, revealing fragmented tales of betrayal and tragedy that stained the land for centuries. In the heart of the forest, Emily stumbled upon an ancient altar surrounded by the ghostly figures of those who had fallen victim to the curse before. The apparitions, eyes hollow and voices filled with lament, urged her to break the curse that bound them. Unveiling a hidden truth, Emily learned that a terrible injustice had befallen the village, and the curse sought restitution. The family, guided by Emily's spectral encounter, gathered in a desperate attempt to unravel the curse's origins. As the clock struck midnight, a spectral rift tore through the cabin, and the vengeful spirits manifested in a twisted display of anguish. The Sinclairs were witnesses to the tragic events that had unfolded in the village centuries ago. Driven by a collective will to break the curse, the family confronted the malevolent force that sought retribution. Each family member played a crucial role, from deciphering the symbols to performing a ritual that would appease the restless spirits. Yet, the ritual demanded a sacrifice, a toll for the sins of the past. In a harrowing climax, the Sinclairs faced the agonizing choice of sacrificing one of their own to break the curse. A unanimous decision was reached, and with heavy hearts, they offered restitution for the long-forgotten injustice. As dawn approached, the malevolence that had plagued the cabin and the village lifted. The symbols on the walls faded, and the whispers of the vengeful spirits transformed into a gentle breeze that rustled the leaves outside. The Sinclairs, forever changed by their nightmarish ordeal, emerged from the cabin into the cool light of morning, the weight of the curse finally lifted. Their vacation had transformed into a haunting journey into the depths of the supernatural, leaving them with a chilling tale to recount, a story of a remote cabin, an ancient curse, and the sacrifices made to appease the restless spirits that dwelled within the shadows of the haunted woods. The Thompsons, a family of 4, eagerly set out for a secluded lakeside cabin, anticipating a serene escape from the stresses of everyday life. Nestled in the embrace of nature, the cabin seemed like the perfect haven for relaxation. Little did they know, the idyllic setting masked a history stained with tragedy, and their dream vacation would soon spiral into a nightmare. Upon arrival, the Thompsons were captivated by the rustic charm of the cabin. The air was crisp, and the tranquil lake shimmered under the golden hues of the setting sun. Excitement filled the air as they unpacked their belongings, their laughter echoing through the silent woods. As night fell, an eerie stillness enveloped the cabin. The once inviting surroundings took on a foreboding quality, and a subtle unease settled over the family. Unbeknownst to them, the cabin bore witness to a dark past, a tale of a family that had met a tragic end, leaving behind a legacy of despair. The first signs of trouble appeared in the form of strange noises, a distant tapping that echoed through the walls, whispers carried by the wind that seemed to carry secrets from the past. The family dismissed these peculiar occurrences as the quirks of an old cabin, determined to salvage their vacation. However, as the night wore on, the atmosphere shifted. Shadows danced in the corners of the rooms, and a chill permeated the air, despite the crackling fire in the hearth. The family's attempts to rationalize the escalating unease grew feeble, and a sense of isolation settled over them, as if the very woods conspired to cut off their retreat. The second day dawned with a palpable tension that clung to the Thompsons like a heavy fog. Determined to shake off the disquiet that lingered, they ventured into the nearby town to explore and distract themselves. Yet, the whispers of the locals hinted at a tragic incident that had befallen the lakeside cabin, a tale that had driven previous occupants to the brink of despair. Undeterred by the ominous warnings, the Thompsons returned to the cabin, their nerves on edge. As nightfall approached, an oppressive darkness descended upon the surroundings. The family gathered in the living room, attempting to find solace in each other's company. The once flickering fireplace now cast long shadows that seemed to writhe with a life of their own. A sense of dread settled over the family as strange phenomena intensified, the creaking of floorboards, doors slamming shut on their own, and unexplained drafts that seemed to carry with them a whispered lament. As the night deepened, the family members began to experience vivid nightmares, each one a twisted manifestation of the cabin's tragic history. Sleep became elusive, and the boundaries between dreams and reality blurred. The matriarch, Sarah, awoke in a cold sweat, recounting visions of a grieving mother mourning the loss of her children in the very rooms they now occupied. Desperation took hold of the Thompsons as they grappled with the malevolent forces that seemed to ensnare them. Attempts to leave were met with inexplicable obstacles, roads that led in circles, signs that distorted reality, and a pervasive disorientation that left them trapped in an ever-shifting nightmare. In the darkest hours of the night, a spectral figure manifested in the cabin, the tormented spirit of the grieving mother, her anguished wails echoing through the corridors. The family, now confronting the reality of the cabin's tragic history, felt an overwhelming urge to uncover the truth and appease the restless soul that sought solace. Determined to break free from the sinister grip, the Thompsons delved into the cabin's history, uncovering a tale of heartbreak, loss, and a family shattered by circumstances beyond their control. As the pieces of the puzzle fell into place, the spirit's lament began to transform into a mournful acceptance, and the oppressive atmosphere lifted. With the first light of dawn, the Thompsons found themselves standing outside the cabin, the weight of the haunting experience lifting like a heavy fog. The once serene lake now sparkled under the morning sun, and the woods, though still, no longer bore the malevolence that had plagued their vacation. Haunted by the echoes of the tragic family's despair, the Thompsons departed the lakeside cabin, forever changed by a vacation that had unraveled into a harrowing journey through the shadows of desolation. The Johnson family, craving adventure, set out on a cross-country road trip, their destination a remote mountain retreat. Excitement filled the air as they navigated winding roads and expansive landscapes. However, their picturesque journey would soon take an unforeseen turn, plunging them into an unexpected ordeal. The mountain retreat, nestled far from civilization, promised solitude and breathtaking views. The Johnsons, eager to escape the hustle and bustle of city life, reveled in the prospect of a serene vacation. The cabin, perched on the mountainside, offered panoramic views of the surrounding wilderness. The initial days were filled with exploration and laughter. Hiking trails led to hidden waterfalls, and the family reveled in the simplicity of campfires under the starry night sky. Yet, as the week progressed, a series of unforeseen challenges cast a shadow over their once idyllic retreat. The weather, initially cooperative, took a turn for the worse, shrouding the mountain in a thick fog that obscured visibility. The family's attempts to explore the trails ended in disorientation, and the once familiar surroundings became a maze of uncertainty. Panic set in as the Johnsons struggled to find their way back to the cabin. As the thick fog persisted, the Johnsons found themselves lost in the unforgiving wilderness that had once seemed so inviting. Every attempt to retrace their steps led to deeper confusion, and the woods, once serene, became a labyrinth of towering trees that seemed to close in around them. The family's mood shifted from excitement to anxiety as the fog played tricks on their senses. Shadows danced in the periphery, and the silence of the woods was punctuated by unsettling sounds, the snap of twigs, rustling leaves, and distant echoes that hinted at unseen dangers. Days turned into nights, and the family's supplies dwindled. The mountain, initially a symbol of freedom, now loomed as a foreboding presence in the perpetual gloom. Tensions within the Johnsons escalated as frustration and fear took hold, their once cordial interactions strained by the weight of their predicament. In a desperate attempt to find their way, the family pressed on through the fog-shrouded woods. Each step seemed to echo with a sinking realization: they were navigating blind, entangled in a web of uncertainty that showed no mercy. Exhaustion set in, both physical and emotional, as the Johnsons grappled with the harsh reality of their predicament. As the fog lifted one fateful morning, the family stumbled upon a dilapidated cabin, a stark contrast to the picturesque retreat they had envisioned. The cabin, long abandoned and weathered by time, bore silent witness to the perils that befell those who ventured too far into the unforgiving mountains. Inside, they discovered remnants of a tragic tale, a journal detailing a family much like their own, lost to the treacherous terrain. The realization struck hard. Their journey mirrored that of those who had come before them, the once promised adventure morphing into a harrowing test of survival. Determined to break free from the grip of the mountains, the Johnsons, armed with newfound resilience, retraced their steps. The fog, though persistent, now held no power over their determination to escape the unseen dangers that had turned their dream vacation into a perilous odyssey. As they finally emerged from the dense woods, the mountain retreat appeared on the horizon like a beacon of deliverance. The family, weathered and changed by their ordeal, left the mountains with a profound respect for the wilderness and a story of survival etched into the fabric of their shared experiences. The picturesque journey they had envisioned had given way to a stark reality, a reminder that adventure, though exhilarating, could be a precarious journey into the unknown.